Welcome to This Week from Blue Mountain Broadcasting. I'm your host, Lynelle Ellis, the president of Blue Mountain Broadcasting Association, and I'm delighted that you've tuned in to the program today. I'm going to be talking with Keith Carlin, who is our manager for our move to the new facility, and we are really needing an update about what's going on with that. And so please stay tuned as I talk with Keith and get some very pertinent information in just a bit. And then also we've got some station news to share with you. But before we do those things, let's begin with our devotional thought. Do you know the song, Faith's Review and Expectation? Does that sound like a familiar tune? It is a descriptive title, Faith's Review and Expectation. Yes, that is the title of the song. Written by a man who had grown up in a Christian family, but who abandoned the faith to his impetuous nature as a young man. He was conscripted into service in His Majesty's Royal Navy, and by his own accounts, was a vulgar young man with many bad habits. However, this young man who grew up to be first mate on slave ships did have a dramatic change of heart. He gave his heart to God, and he gradually came to realize the evil of the slave trade in which he was so heavily involved. Eventually, he became a priest in the Anglican Church, and he and his wife devoted their lives to the service of the church. He began to write poems and hymns that described his faith experience. 34 years after he retired from the slave trade, he broke his silence on the subject and penned a pamphlet called Thoughts upon the Slave Trade, in which he described the horrible conditions of the slave ships. He became an abolitionist and an ally of William Wilberforce, who was working hard to abolish the slave trade in England. In fact, the slave trade was abolished in 1807, just months before his death. Who was this former rebel and slave ship first mate? This devoted, sincere follower of Christ was John Newton. Yes, John Newton, who wrote Faith's Review and Expectation. Do you know it? You probably know this song by the first words of the first line, Amazing Grace. The song is a review of John Newton's faith and the amazing expectation he held because of God's grace. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now I'm found, was blind, but now I see. 'Twas grace that taught my heart to fear, and grace my fears relieved. How precious did that grace appear the hour I first believed. The Lord hath promised good to me. His word my hope secures. He will my shield and portion be as long as life endures. You know, most of us have not done the same kinds of egregious things that John Newton did in his former life. But we've all made mistakes and fallen very short of God's will and plan for us. We've all experienced God's amazing grace. Perhaps this hymn is so well loved because it is so relatable. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now am found, was blind, but now I see. Ironically, when John Newton died, he was nearly blind. But while he had lost his physical sight, he had gained great spiritual sight. Stay tuned. I'll be right back. Welcome back. Joining me now is Keith Carlin, who is a volunteer at Blue Mountain Television, also one of our board members, and maybe most importantly for this interview, our project manager for our move to the new facility. Great to see you, Keith.
Glad to be here.
I just thought it was time for an update. I know you come fairly regularly to share with our viewers what's happening, because we have probably more questions than answers about when is this move going to take place.
Oh, you share my situation.
Yes, but we did get some very good news this morning. We've made some progress.
You want me to talk about that?
Let's start with the good news of the morning.
Let me lean over here and get these. We have some drawings that Jerry Bobbitt, who by the way is down with COVID right now, and in spite of that, was able to finish some drawings that we have needed for a while. We have searched for a number of weeks, actually maybe 2 months, for information on the trusses that are over the ceiling of our studio area.
Yes, very important.
And we have not been able to come up with anything out of the previous construction records. Mm-hmm. And so Jerry had already produced the drawings of the trusses, but we needed additional identification of sizes, spacing, the metal plates that are on them that connect the various members together.
So
and he just now did this.
Okay, and we're needing to know how strong this structure is, what it can bear for weight.
That's the point of this, exactly. This analysis is necessary because we're planning to hang from that structure a pipe arrangement that will support our lighting for the new thing, the new studio. And I have just recently discovered that one of my neighbors that lives about a block away from me is a structural engineer, fully qualified to do the analysis on this, which we had been trying to find engineers to do and hadn't been able to. There is nobody in the valley here that can do this now. And this gentleman is semi-retired, is still active in the business, and has said, yes, I'll help you. And I just waved at him as I came here to the interview this morning outside his house.
Very good.
And so now that I have these drawings, I'll be taking them to him, and he will be telling us whether we can use the structure as it is built. And I can hold this thing up just enough so that you guys can recognize there is a lot of detail in a drawing like this that is necessary for that. And on the second drawing is an identification of all of the metal plates that are connecting those members together where it's so critical. So now that I have these, and I'll be giving this to my neighbor to do the analysis, then he'll tell us either it is strong enough as it is, or we need to reinforce elements of it, which I fully expect we need to do.
Yes.
Because the weight of what we're talking about suspending from this is, let's see, 2,800 pounds for the 3 piping arrangements, plus another 800 pounds for the lighting fixtures themselves.
Yes.
So we're talking about something very significant.
We are.
And this analysis...
We don't want to make a mistake.
Well,
so we're being really careful.
This is something we have to have right.
Yes, absolutely.
Absolutely have to. So this is a first real concrete step toward that analysis. And I thank Jerry so much because he got up and did that this morning, finished it up this morning while he is very, very sick.
Thank you to Jerry.
So that is amazing that he was able to do that. But now that we have this, we are going to be able to move forward.
And by telling us this particular situation and this particular example, it helps us to understand really that it's not as easy as just, oh, let's pick up the equipment and furniture that we have at our current facility and just haul it over to the new place. I know a lot of people have asked me, well, why haven't you moved yet? You know, why haven't you moved? There are so many details and things that have to be looked at like this one. we have to make sure that that new facility, while it is a fantastic building, is just suited right. We have to change some structures and things that we need to do to make
Adding
it right for what
additional
we're doing. Yes.
areas that we don't have currently.
Yes,
The
absolutely.
control room area is a fully new build.
Yes.
The office for the executive director is a new build. And these things, we have all the plans in place for that, but I wasn't able to submit the application for the building permit until this particular element had been addressed.
Yes.
And we have a solution then in place because the analysis is right up ahead of us now. The result of that analysis may mean now we have to re-engineer the structure for the trusses to give us the strength we need.
And that will affect what we apply for in our
Exactly
construction
what I have
permit.
to identify in
Yes.
the submission. That's
Yes.
right.
So all of these steps that we're trying to take in order, and of course we've been relying very heavily on volunteers
Always.
for this.
Yes.
And exclusively really up to this point.
Yes.
And we've just recently had our executive committee meet, talk about what some of these needs are that we need for engineering. And some of it is engineering we need immediately, even at our present facility, in order
Right.
to be high definition and to be
Right.
compliant with the Federal Communications Commission.
Yes.
Some of it we need immediately, and then some engineering applies to the new move as well, but also additional engineering for the new move. And we've said we have to have some additional professional contracted help for some of these things that we're working on.
And you have given us that. The executive committee took a recommendation that I think may have started with Jim Forsyth.
Yes, and the technical group, yes.
That we have a new man on board now. He was with me yesterday.
Oh, good. Tell us about
He
it.
was with me for that technical review. Now, Jim Forsyth just got out of surgery Friday, and so he wasn't available to participate. But by phone, Jerry operated from home because he's under the COVID restrictions. But our new engineer, Zach Swaina, was with me in person yesterday morning for that tech review. And we have been going through some of the steps he is going to be addressing, the projects he's going to be helping us solve.
Yes.
And that includes, among other things, your highest
My
priority, high definition.
Yes.
In addition to some things that have to do with the EAS broadcasting,
That stands for
Emergency
Alert.
Alert System, yes. It has been working, but we have not been able to get it as fully integrated as we would like for end of that, and so it hasn't been terminating as it should have been.
Yes, and we need to get all of those ducks in a row, as they say, so
Yes.
that we're fully compliant with Federal Communication Commission regulations.
And the second one of those is closed captioning. And that is what Zach is concentrating on right at the moment. And he just collected a lot of information yesterday. He's taken it home with him, and we have given him a full approval to do a lot of analysis work for us at his home office.
Yes.
And so he'll be doing that from there, and he'll probably be in just about every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday when I'm in.
Yes.
And we'll be discussing these things, and we're moving forward.
It is exciting, and we have contracted with him, and we're
Yes.
happy to do that because he is an expert in these things. He has good
Yes.
experience, and we're also happy because he understands the heart of our mission and what we're doing
He
at the station.
shares that mission
Yes.
very strongly.
Yes.
And
So-
I appreciate that because he's involved with his own church at Hermiston to do
Yes.
this. He was involved with the State Line Church very strongly for a long time, helping them with their broadcast and so forth. His mission ethic is very strong.
Yes. So
and
it's
I'm
just great to
thankful
have
that we
him
have
working
his
with us.
services because he has a lot of experience.
Really good. So you mentioned in passing my favorite topic, high definition. Why am I so on fire about that? Why is that important for
Because
our
it
viewers?
looks so much better.
It does.
It does. All of the years that we've been in broadcasting, it has not been terrible, but it hasn't been up to what the professional standards of the day are. Now, when we first started, it was.
Yes.
But the technology has increased. improved immensely. And while I know you would like us at 4K, that's not something that we even have program source content available for.
I understand. It will probably come in the future.
It may,
yeah.
But it's beyond any of the current available sources that we have. But going to high definition is readily available.
Yes.
And it will look sharper, it will look happier. The colors are brighter.
The colors are brighter, the picture is clearer, the contrast is better,
yes.
The resolution is fantastic. Yeah,
right.
All of those
exactly.
good things.
It's so much nicer, and I don't blame you for wanting us to be at the best we could be. We have to be practical. And we want to give the viewers access to the greatest variety of programs that we can in high definition.
Yes.
And so we're working toward that.
We are, and it is good that almost all of the programs that we currently air are available in high definition.
Our biggest challenge is children programming for high definition.
There needs to be some newer children's programming.
We need them. And frankly, that is, I think, going to be one of Lowell's biggest challenges. And so that's in the back of my mind. I have figured that is going to be one of those things that's going to be necessary to give some special prayer and effort to.
Yes, yes.
So,
and I hope that some of the other entities with whom we have relationships will also be thinking about newer children's programming.
I have seen some, especially in the Spanish side. These people are very, very creative, and all of their programming. And although we don't really get involved in generating any of that, we are blessed in that we have access to that for our Spanish side of the broadcast.
Yes, it's fantastic that we do.
Yeah.
So Keith, we've got about a minute left, so you've got to tell me what's the most important thing our viewers need to know about what's happening technically and about our move.
Oh, you would do that to me right now. It is actually the planning of the cabling. Would you believe it? It's as mundane as that. But planning for the routing of the cabling up in that attic. And I know Jerry's been working on the access points to get us down through the attic into the individual rooms, the IT network room, and into the broadcast room. And we have all of the pretty much the requirements in place, but how we're going to route those, how we're going to label those cables, and how we're going to bundle them. This is way behind the scenes. Nobody ever cares about that. And
but it's really important.
And Zach and I have been talking about how you may even be able to sleeve some of those cables to bundle them in groups. And whether that's a desirable thing, because we may need to modify them. Do we want to have them sleeve? Oh, you can actually get sleeving that opens up on the side. Oh, thank you, Zach. His knowledge base is coming into play already with this. So that is one of the areas that is very practical that we will need to know because of the access through a firewall.
Yes.
And I have that in place on the drawings already, and we are trying to be sure, do we have adequate place for the wires to go through? And so I have about 3 of these 3-inch big holes that are going through the firewall with a plate that is smoke proof and flame proof. It's a design for the purpose device.
Yes.
And that's where we're headed.
So to me, it's just fascinating when you share some of those details like that. I hope our viewers are beginning to be able to wrap their minds around the kind of detail that our volunteer engineers and now our one contracted engineer are having to work with in order to make this move happen in the way that it really should, in the professional manner that it already is happening. Even if it doesn't seem like it's happening as quickly as we'd like to, we're doing our homework. We're doing our work carefully. And
well said.
I'm glad for that.
Well said, yes.
I'm very glad
Very
for that.
important to do that right the first time.
It is. And I want to thank you, Keith, because you've taken quite a load of responsibility with this and really, really appreciate it.
My pleasure. I enjoy it.
I'm glad. And thank you for watching. Please stay tuned. I'll be right back. Welcome back. It is time now for station news, and I have some important updates to give you. I want to share something very special about Secret Life of the Desert, but first, let me just recap a couple of the things that Keith Carlin was sharing with us. We have indeed contracted with a broadcast engineer, Zach Swina, who is going to be helping us with some very key and important things we have been working on and need to work more quickly on at Blue Mountain Broadcasting Association. One of those is getting in line with a couple of FCC requirements having to do with closed captioning and emergency alert system. Another is our high definition signal so that we can have a broadcast standard picture for all of you to see that really looks good in high definition. And then, of course, the engineering that we need toward the move to the new facility. And we're just delighted because Zach is just completely on board with the mission of Blue Mountain Television, Blue Mountain Broadcasting Association. He's excited about what we're doing and he has the skills that we need. So that's very good news for us at the station. It also will be an additional expense for us at the station. So that leads me to an appeal to you for some additional monies for our operating budget so that we can indeed keep this project moving forward, both for our regular operating and for our move to the new facility. And then also, I wanted to remind you that we continue to put the plans in place that we need so that we can actually apply for the construction permit for those additional changes we need to make at the new building. We're almost there. As we heard from Keith, we got those drawings from Jerry just this morning, and we now have the trusses, the drawings that we need for the trusses so that we can be just one step away now from being ready to apply for that construction permit. So good news, we are moving forward, really trying to do our work thoroughly. And again, so grateful for our volunteers who have been helping with all this engineering. Volunteers like Jerry and Jim and Keith and Don who help us on this side of things at the station. And now, that update about Secret Life of the Desert. I know you are just waiting, and we keep showing you little teaser footage, and we keep talking with you about this series, and you're wondering, when are we going to see it? Well, as you know, we have put so much work. Daniel Biggs has been out with our host, Mike, getting all of this fantastic footage over the past number of months. And now he has been busy editing. And we had some other projects slow down a little bit at the station for him over the past couple of weeks, so he's been able to do a lot more editing on the series. And he thinks there are going to be probably a total of 20 episodes in Secret Life of the Desert. And we are happy to let you know today that he is just about finished editing episode 11. So we're over halfway through that editing process and are now beginning some very important planning for the marketing and the launch of this program, which is, really the marketing and launch is just about as important as creating the thing. So we are really, really looking forward to that happening in the near future and invite your prayers as we are looking for the best plan forward for this series, which I know you're looking forward to seeing and you will be seeing on Blue Mountain Television. So again, Secret Life of the Desert, keep those plans in your prayers too. I want to thank you once again because it is your support of Blue Mountain Television, of Blue Mountain Broadcasting Association that makes things happen here. We're all in this together, bringing what we have, each of us individually, to share with God for His kingdom, for the ministry of this station. So thank you again, and thanks for watching the show today. Look forward to seeing you next time.